weakest shake of his head. I placed his head gently back on top of the barrel and stood. "I need to know who he sold it to," I said. "I need a name." "I'll get you one. Don't worry," said a voice from the darkened warehouse around us. Shatters came walking into the candle's circle of light, his two assistants behind him. One was carrying a bucket of seawater. The agony man was small, even shorter than I, with broad shoulders and no neck to speak of. His hands were long and expressive, like an artist's, and he was constantly cracking his knuckles as he walked. Shatter stopped beside me and smiled a cruel, hungry smile. "He's close to the edge now. Won't take much more to get him babbling like a drunken whore." He popped a thumb joint for emphasis. The assistant with the bucket stepped forward and emptied it over Athel. The smuggler sputtered, then howled as the salt water reached his ravaged hands. I turned away as the other assistant began sorting through the torturer's tools that had been set aside during my interview. "Let me know when he's ready." My voice came out thick. "I'll be outside." Shatter's laughter followed me through the shuttered warehouse until I opened the door and stepped outside. I blinked in surprise at the sunlight that struck me in the face. Dawn already? I squinted at the soft glow that seemed to suffuse every tower and building of the imperial capital. Ildrecca tried its hardest to look peaceful and serene in that light, but I've known the city too long to be fooled so easily. "Nice try, old friend." Bronze Deegan was across the street, leaning in a doorway. I went over. "Anything?" he asked. "Not since the last time I went in." I gestured to the sun in the east. "When did that happen?" "Not too long ago." He yawned. "How much longer?" I felt myself yawn in return. I hated that. "Hell if I know," I said. Deegan grunted and rearranged himself in the doorway. Half again as tall as me, with fair hair and skin, broad shoulders, and a lean build, he seemed to fill the entire space on his own. Some of that came from the cut of his clothes, the flowing, long green linen coat left open to show off the copper-colored doublet beneath, the matching full-cut breeches, the wide-brimmed hat. But just as much came from the man himself. He had an air of easy, capable confidence about him that caused people to give him a healthy berth even in the most crowded city streets. Of course, it didn't hurt that a bronze-chased sword hung at his side either, a sword that marked him as a member of the Order of the Deegans, an old mercenary order in an even older city. No one entered into that select brotherhood of sellswords without plenty of personal cachet to begin with. I slid into the doorway beside Deegan, sat down on the stoop, and dug out 2 arami seeds from the pouch around my neck. They were small and oval, the size of my largest knuckle, and darkly roasted. I rubbed them between my palms to let them absorb some sweat. A sharp, acrid smell, with subtle hints of cinnamon, earth, and smoke, rose up from my hands. I felt my pulse quicken at the aroma. "Breakfast," announced Deegan. I looked up. "What?" "I've decided you owe me breakfast." "Oh?" Deegan gave me a wry look as he silently counted off 3 fingers. "Ah," I said. "Well, I suppose you earned it." Deegan snorted. There had been 3 men with Athel the Grinner when I'd finally tracked him down. 3 very large men. For me, they would have been an impossible barrier. For Deegan, they were little more than an inconvenience. If not for him, I'd never have made it out of that plaza, and Athel would still be grinning. "Thanks," I added. It was something I didn't say to my friend nearly enough, and something he didn't worry about hearing. We'd been running the streets together long enough to have moved past words and gestures like that. Deegan shrugged. "Slow night. I needed something to do." I smiled and was just slipping the arami seeds into my mouth